Tsuro Kurosu is a young man going through a very difficult time. He doesn't work or study, and his parents have cut off all support. His apartment has no electricity, water, or internet, and it's filled with trash. One night, feeling hopeless, he decides to end his life by hanging himself with a belt on a shelf. However, his survival instincts kick in, causing him to struggle, which makes the shelf fall and collapse on top of him. While lying on the floor in pain, Kurosu notices something strange. A falling shelf created a hole in the wall. When he looks through the hole into the neighboring apartment, he's shocked to find a beautiful young woman, Ryo Miechi, living next door. From that moment, Kurosu begins spying on her every day. He sees that Miyaki is a college student, but no one ever visits her, which makes him think she doesn't have any friends. One day she disappears from sight, so Kurosu leaves his apartment and tries to listen at her door, even peeking through the mail slot. He stops when he notices someone else watching him, a woman named Haruko Kawasaki, who's come to check on her brother who lives a floor below Kurosu. After knocking on her brother's door and getting no answer, Haruko leaves a bag of food hanging on the doorknob and walks away. Seizing the opportunity, Kurosu steals the food, finally getting something decent to eat after surviving on snacks for so long. While sneaking back into his apartment, Kurosu is interrupted by Miyaichi herself. They introduce themselves using their last names, and Miyaichi invites him to eat dinner with her at her place, saying food tastes better with company. They share a pleasant meal, and Kurosu returns home feeling happy because Miyaichi tells him they should do it again sometime. He begins visiting her often for meals, all while still secretly spying on her. Curious, he eventually asks why she likes spending time with someone like him. Miyaichi replies that the only thing that matters is how well they connect. Touched by her words, Kurosu decides to cover the hole in the wall with paper. However, he quickly changes his mind when later that night he hears her door open during a storm. Peeking through the hole again, he sees Miyaichi wearing a transparent raincoat and holding a box cutter with a man in her apartment. To Kurosu's shock, the man hugs Miyaichi from behind, but she quickly uses martial arts to overpower him and kills him, smiling as she does. As Kurosu is left stunned, but before he can fully process what he's seen, a stack of books falls, blocking the peephole. Unsure if what he witnessed was real, Kurosu is soon interrupted again by a knock at his door. It's Miyaichi, cheerfully holding a pot of food and asking if they can have dinner at his place this time. They eat together again, and Miyaichi admits that spending time with Kurosu helps her figure out if she's normal. After she leaves, Kurosu pushes the books away from the hole with a chopstick and sees that Miyaki's apartment looks completely normal, making him wonder if the murder was just a hallucination. Just then, he hears a voice saying goodbye to Miyaki. Rushing to his door, Kurosu sees a serious-looking woman, Reina and Meiji, leaving the apartment. She stops to tell him she knows who he is, and even calls him by name. The next morning, Kurosu runs into Miyaichi again, and she suggests they eat together at his place later. Inspired, Kurosu decides to clean his messy apartment while convincing himself that what he saw wasn't real. But as the evening comes, while waiting for Miyaichi, Kurosu hears noises next door. Looking through the hole again, he witnesses Miyaichi killing another man, this one with a B tattoo on his arm, smiling once more after the act. This time, Kurosu accepts the reality of what he's seeing and screams in fear, causing Miyaichi to discover the hole and stick her box cutter into it. She looks directly at Kurosu, terrifying him even more. Panicked, Kurosu runs out of his apartment and Miyaki chases him through the streets with her box cutter in hand. Eventually, Kurosu escapes to the roof of the building where Miyaichi corners him. She forces him to admit that he's known about her killing people for some time. Fascinated by this, Miyaki finds it interesting that he continued to spend time with her despite knowing the truth. Kurosu then reveals that he once tried to kill himself, but after discovering the hole in the wall and watching her, he fell in love with her, which made him want to live. Falling to his knees, Kurosu expects Miyaichi to kill him, but she doesn't. Instead, she finds his reaction intriguing. She asks him how he feels, and Kurosu says he wants to be with her. Miyaichi agrees but tells him that they can't become too close or she'll have to kill him. The next day, Kurosu sees Haruko finally visiting her brother, who is calmly playing with a cat. Afterward, Kurosu has lunch at home with Miyaki, who is surprised by how much he can see through the hole. He admits that he likes everything about her and promises to find a job to be a better boyfriend. Kurosu starts working at a convenience store, and whenever he uses a cutter to open boxes, he can't stop thinking about Miyaichi's murders. Despite this, he continues dating her. Miyaichi asks him out on a date the next day, but it turns out she just wants him to help carry her microwave to the university because her lab's one broke. At first, Kurosu feels uncomfortable among the successful people at the university, but his mood lifts when Miyaki introduces him as her boyfriend in front of her admirers. During lunch, Kurosu shares that he might retake the entrance exam next year to become a suitable partner for her, as he can't imagine a future without her. She finds it funny that he thinks he needs to be suitable for someone like her, who plans to keep killing. After class, Miyaki asks Kurosu to take a walk, but she shocks him by suddenly putting on a clear raincoat and bribing a woman in the street to kill her. From then on, Miyaichi goes on dates with Kurosu while killing people during their outings, which she sees as a twisted way to show affection. Kurosu wonders if she kills randomly, but Miyaki admits she has rules and a list of local criminals she targets. This leads Kurosu to question if he can see her as a kind of justice seeker, but that still feels off. Surprisingly, none of her murders have been reported in the news. One afternoon, after talking with his neighbor Kawasaki about cute cats, Kurosu meets Miyaichi in the park and shares some papiko, a chocolate and coffee ice treat meant to be shared. Miyaki is touched rich that he bought something just for them. Kurosu's life starts getting better. He enjoys his new job, his apartment has power again, and he can buy a new phone. One day at work, Haruko comes in to buy snacks, and Kurosu gives them to her for free because he feels guilty about food he stole before. Later that evening, he finds a note on his peephole telling him to stay in his apartment at 10 p.m. When the time comes, he peeks through the hole and sees Miyake has kidnapped Kawasaki.